Mila, I'm going to start the recording. This is April 22nd, and my name's Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. This is the Global Chamber uh, triangulation, if you will, of business, economic development, and real estate coming together. We are planning for a relaunch of this event and our activities in May.
Yes.
Jim Huang, who is here, is amazing. He's just an extraordinary leader who has lived an amazing life, and he's such a great supporter of people who are looking to have an impact and to enjoy their life. And so he spends most of his day, or it's seemingly most of his day, in connecting with people both virtually and in person. And it's honestly very inspirational. He's our main crux of our conversation today. And Jim, you and your vision of Global Chamber and how being within that triangle through now the portal that's coming on and be able to give people deals. I'm really excited about all of that. I suggest, given that we've built to this point where we're about to really kind of relaunch everything, that we probably ideally take off next week because we've been doing these events weekly. And then we really kick things off on May 6th for a couple different reasons. One is the portal will be closer. I think we'll have the portal in May. And number two is we're starting at Global Chamber a World Trade Month series and a World Trade Week series, which will look like everybody else's probably for a bit in May, because World Trade Week is here in Los Angeles in Southern California, beginning of next week, May 4th week. Select USA is that week as well. If we do our next event on May 6th, we do have a variety of people who can speak about both Select USA and World Trade Week. And so I don't have any worries about getting some really great speakers starting from the 6th onward. When we do World Trade Month in May, that's the official U.S. government World Trade Month next month. We're going to participate. We'll have our own events. We're going to be doing regional events once a month for the next 8 months on 8 different regions of the world. We're going to concentrate on North America for May. So that'll be our focus in on World Trade Month. Everybody else will kind of disappear, but Global Chamber will have World Trade Month in June as well, and every single month for the rest of the year. And we're going to focus in on different parts of the world. And we haven't figured out the cadence yet in terms of what June will be, but it'll either be Asia or Europe, or what did we talk about? The Gulf states or Africa. One of those 4 regions will be June. And so we'll figure that out in the next week or two. But Jim, that's a little bit of the background. How does that plan sound for you? And boy, how are you doing this morning?
No, it's great. And, it's great when we first envisioned this committee within Global Chamber. What I saw is being part of the different chamber and on the global group, we saw that real estate was really not a part of it when real estate does touch everything, as case in point with the supply chain, right? A lot of development, a lot of building, since COVID, HQs have been decentralized, right? Spread across to other locations. Uh, People and property have just been moving all around. So I said, we need to start with a real estate, since real estate really touches everything within Global Chamber. And as we started advancing, it is important, Doug, as we've always said many times, and even Anita and even Teresa and everyone else, it's the trust, it's the relationship. With bar technology, everyone used to love going to conventions. Was convention so popular? It's because you got to meet people face to face. You got to break bread, have a drink, and this is the. It's not anything different from the 9 to 5, from the 5 to 9, as I always said. 9 to 5, you're just busy working with your coworkers, but the real magic happens 5 to 9 afterwards, where you may go to a happy hour. You may grab some dinner with some coworkers or friends or with the team, right? This is where the bonding and trust. And I would even say many people who show up to those other events after the 9 to 5 in the workday usually gets promoted, usually are the people with the inside knowledge of what's going on with the company. So building that within Global Chamber and adding the technology, from the Globi to hopefully the referral network that we're going to put in place is important. And I would say with our team here, is to show one, we want to talk about economic development. Since this is global chamber, many are import export supply chain managers or parts of the city. The other is the real estate component of people that run businesses. It could be capital markets, it could be development, it could be architect firms, it could be like a mentor, a modular that's scaling from Europe to trying to penetrate the US. But there's also what we want to say is from the real estate part on the commercial and also the residential. The residential right now, I would just say from the US and maybe some of the Western world countries, they're looking to find another place to move, mostly because of the inflation, the cost of living, and quality of living. So now with an agenda, we can share different countries, and we'll start, I would say, with the hottest countries to build momentum, get people excited of what's going on. Let's just say in the US, maybe TSMC, other countries could be in Singapore or in India. Dubai is now a new topic, especially with the war so close to Dubai. Dubai has been talked about as it used to be a gem, still probably a gem, but I want to hear from the people on the ground of what's going on there. But as you hear this, money, people are moving all around. So one, we want to have knowledge of what and give our chamber members opportunities to speak. Two, by adding the technology of getting to know our members better. Cesar has been doing great interlinking everyone and introducing, but it's still very hard as Cesar has to introduce and reintroduce and get and stay on top of people, which he does fantastic. Now we're going to have Globi and the technology. So you can look up people like Ted, right, or Brandon in different countries that you want to introduce. I know Scott doing asset management, Anita doing currency. You can now find people, look up their history, and do business with them. And now with the technology too, we can start putting in referrals from not just real estate, but services. Many things in commercial, I would say from developers, they're always looking for site locations, ground up construction development. And Doug, remember when we talked with Jeff Pappas and we had a speaker from Cyril, which Ajay
Yeah.
with them? They said,
Yeah.
let's talk. And we were privy to that meeting. Even Jeff said with a large brokerage, international brokerage firm said, our brokerage firm does not have all the knowledge. He wanted to talk to Cyril since they are in India as a very large organization in India to get more research and information. And that's where Doug, I said, oh, with all our economic development, with this referral network and this building the community, we could start adding research information with Global Chamber. Of course, it's not cheap or free. It's probably an upcharge for those that need research material. But I would say, like Scott and others, property management, they like to know what's going on. Development, I would say architects, contract. I mean, they know because with Rick Buss, who I met here, who I'm doing business with right now in Phoenix, I mean, we're doing some interesting projects there now. Having him as he was the what is the city manager of Phoenix. He worked for Peoria. He worked for almost every single city within the Phoenix metro. We got to know exactly what's going on. But when I was helping with TSMC and adjacent companies, we were looking for land. And also with Mark did that big $45 million deals with Lee and Associates. So putting this platform together, sharing the knowledge with the capacity of what Global Chamber is, and everyone just being involved. Like Anita, we were talking, everyone has to be involved. It's great to be virtual. We hope we do Global Chamber live events one day so we can actually all meet each other because all things being equal, I'd rather give it to Anita, Scott, Ted, Brandon. I would give it to my friends rather, and even if it was even uneven, it was a little more expensive by 5 or 10%, still probably would give it to my friends because there's trust. And there's so many people out there with AI fakes and people that scam you. I'd rather give it to people who I know, even if I'm paying that little extra margin. It's trust, it's integrity, it's who we know. So, Doug, it really is exciting what we're going to do at this next phase starting in May and organizing this. But also, I want to see Anita Small saying, "Oh my gosh, I got this big referral as a testimonial," or Scott got some property asset management or brokerage business in San Diego. But Doug, that to me is how we show success with the commercial group. Is they say, "Wow, I've learned a lot. I made some deals, but the biggest thing, I made a lot of friends, which Global Chamber has done for me because almost everywhere I travel the world, I do say hello to one or two Global Chamber members. And I'd say, if nothing else, you make a lot of friends around the world, Doug. So thank you for creating Global Chamber and the vision to start pushing. And I know stepping out of your comfort zone, the next growing pain to grow Global Chamber to, I would say, the next really disruptive company when it comes to Chamber of Commerce. I do believe this will be the platform of the future for business, and global knowledge. So thank you, Doug.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the support. One of the things that I hadn't thought of completely until you just went through that was that we need to structure these meetings, I think, in a way that has different components to it. And
Yes.
I wrote down several, certainly probably always having a business person being a speaker, always having real estate either, and probably one of each, one commercial, one residential speaker every time, and then someone from economic development every time, and then probably having every week having a conversation about living somewhere in the world and what that and we have a whole there's dozens and dozens of them, right? There's 195 countries. I'm not sure I'm ready to move to Yemen at this point, but there are probably another 50 that would be higher priority that we could easily do over the next year. So I you've given me the thought to we really need to structure this in a predictable, value adding way that gets to the result that you just described. It's education, it's connections, it's deals, it's virtual in this room, but it also has spin-offs to be live in different places, and that's another piece we probably need to add to this. So where are we going to do live events, and how do we tie those? We do live events all the time, but we haven't tied it to this event, and we should. And maybe it's through like CCC and collaborator events, or maybe it's our own events or something like that. But we'll figure it out. So thank you for that. Does that make sense?
It does, Doug. And I have conversations with friends that are going, yes, I'm going to select. Okay, you can say hello to everyone.
Hey, Leah, how are you? Good
Good.
to.
This is why making all the changes. Okay, Leah, you said I go change. But this, yeah, thank you, everyone. But this is fun.
Do you like my cappy stuff?
Okay, Leah, no more caffeine stuff. It's the cute face, which I really love, and I wouldn't miss it for the world and all the money and everything. Okay, Leah, go. But that's why I made life changes, and this is where sometimes moving around. I know all of us with kids or grandkids. I know Rich had his second grandkid. So it's just life goes on. Everyone's very happy. We want to be happy for everyone. But Doug, this is where it is. And I'll just tell you, a lot of commercial companies and service companies and residential companies having opportunities to speak in Global Chamber, being put on Globi as one of our sponsors, to connecting it, at an enterprise level, will get many of their agents. I would say, because of what I'm working on, there are so many groups that I know Scott and I are talking to from all services all around the world, interconnecting everyone. But it's really like all of us are doing is these moves to implementation and execution on doing it. And that is the hardest part. But now we are at that point of, pulling the trigger and making it happen to get these results, really to make a better chamber so the people can stay in there, can give back to Global Chamber because of just the business. And I hope with what we're doing also with social media, LinkedIn, TikTok, we start filming these, we start putting it into social media so they do come back and join organically, right? Sometimes just by putting these contents that we record anyway into the social media, and then you put something on the bottom, they just go, oh, I'm curious. Or the QR code, like Scott and I have, they just watch the video. Nowadays, they just take a picture with the camera. No one really types out the website as much as they used to. They just take a picture, boom, it goes to Global Chamber. It brings up a calendar. They want to join the meeting, boom, it gets them interested starting. I would say for free until you start paying and doing other stuff. But we want to create always, as Scott always says and reminds me, value. Where's the value? Got to have value, right? So that is so important. But Doug, the good thing is this is not any of our first rodeo, but it is important that we want and have the will to execute this. And I see that you, Cesar, and everyone is taking it very serious of what chamber can be. And it could be something so fantastic. I think all of us know this. But anyway, Doug, I just want to say thank you. And yeah, I'm online with you. And maybe we do form, like Anita, Scott, those that show up consistently to form a committee. And I like to start it, but I am one to pass the torch. So everyone within the Global Chamber of Real Estate could start moderating too. So it's not just you or I. We
Yeah.
kind of set it up. We want to manage it and help it. But maybe for Anita could be, with the speakers. You, yes, Anita, I know you run another committee, to MC, but it's to get other people engaged, right? Because I am one of those people that I realize I don't like to hold on to any power or position forever. I like to get things started and then I pass the torch, right? I like to help other people step into leadership because there's so many creative, good ideas from so many people. But I just know sometimes I need to stay there a little longer to just get it moving. And once it's moving, I could step away because there's systems and it's ready to go by itself. And a lot of times I just sit there as advisor or board member to just make sure it just keeps going the right direction and playing the politics right, right? Like we all
Well,
know.
so let's plan, Mila, to not have this event next Wednesday, but let's do a fresh start on May 6th, and
Okay.
I'll work with the team and all of you communicate with you in terms of who will be speaking at that event. And then we should have the portal up as well. We have the World Trade Week initiative starting as well. And so I think it gives us an opportunity to do what you just described, is get more people to be able to benefit and structure it so that people can benefit more easily. That's certainly our commitment. For today, my suggestion is that we do have Ted and Brandon here to preview.
Oh, they dropped off. Maybe they'll come back.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a bummer. Okay. So maybe they will, let's see, what time is it? So that's too bad. But there is an event tomorrow that they're speaking about, kind of a continuation of what Ted spoke about last week. It's a conversation about East Africa and the business opportunities there. And then the only other things that I at least wanted to mention here, that we should get ready for next time, for 2 weeks from now, certainly Select USA. And I have 2 or 3 different candidates in mind for that. And then I was thinking that we probably should do some sort of a regular connection point with things like FIABC and others so that people are coming in, sort of like what Teresa did for MIPIM, so we're connected to all of the appropriate events and we're bringing that communication in as well. And the only other thing I'll mention, because you mentioned Jeff Pappas from Newmark, I did happen to speak with him yesterday. He and I have been kind of missing each other for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but he did pick up my phone call yesterday and it was like, oh, Doug, oh my God, I've never been busier than I have been. And he went through a litany of things that he's working on. He's just overwhelmed. That may not be the right word. He's just very, very busy right
Mhm.
now with a lot of really great projects, including he was leaving. He couldn't speak today. He's on a flight to Pittsburgh to do a project. And he's actually, I think tonight or whenever it is, he'll be at the NFL draft, which is
Oh,
happening in
yeah.
Pittsburgh. So he has one of his clients. Oh, it's the economic development group that's centered in Pittsburgh, for the region, has invited him. They're the ones that have some tickets. So he has a VIP pass to the NFL draft this evening. So he sends his best regards and he's like, don't send me anything new. I'm too busy.
Well, this is the thing of Doug, when you're busy and people with certain companies, you can pass the wealth. And as Anita, as you said, well, with everyone, the line items and verticals, that is opportunities to work with other global chamber members.
Sure.
But what we do is need to understand one, who they are, the company they work with, and without readjusting and going to too much brain damage, is term sheets of what their services cost. And I know a lot of people says, I want to talk to you before I show the numbers because I don't want to do it number based. So it's a choice, right? Because I understand the sales hook that you always want to talk and engage the client to convince them that why your prices are higher. And it's that sell off and trade, but it is good for all of us to know where the target is. There's always a high mark and a low mark and their quality mark. But Doug, this is as Scott knows, big audacious fun goals. I like to leave an imprint or a mark. And one is help my friends, get through this and make some good money so their families can be taken care of. So then you can, okay, I'll find you some sports stuff. Sorry, just I'll find it for you.
Is she headed to school soon or
Soon, yeah. Well, she needs to dress. It's sports day. She reminded me she needs to wear some sports outfit. I don't have anything here. She may get killed. I may give her 49ers. All right, Anita has it. I'll give her some opposing against Seattle teams now that I've moved. So I got the Niners. I got what is it? The Lakers and Dodgers and everyone that the Seattle probably doesn't like. No, but it's fun, Doug. I mean, I just think for our group, and Scott knows this, and he's known me for a while. I like to take care of my people. I like to join organizations where I actually like the people because up and beyond, it's friendship. I very rarely go into anything to get the business. I'm also a lot of times overloaded. There's enough business that I do get, but how can we spread the wealth, build community, which is the most important. And even with Aria that I spoke at, one of my audacious goals is to start building senior homes or assisted living. So all of us as friends for over 10, 20, 30 years by the time we get there, I mean, we're more like family that we can form our own compound, right? But still open depending on rules and laws and how we're going to run it, is to allow us to live with each other with friends because we all know our children, we can't rely on them. I think all of us, we love them, but they're not going to take care of mom or dad or any of us over the long term. Oh, Ted's back. And then later on, it's just we take care of each other. And many times one of the spouses passes away. So you want to get Ted on? Doug,
that
Ted,
would
Ted
be great.
came back on.
Hey, Ted and Brandon, thank you for joining. We've got a big event tomorrow. Was a great conversation yesterday at the Global Chamber Africa meetup that's monthly. And then tomorrow we have a special event about East Africa as it's in preparation for the Africa France event that's coming up in Nairobi on later, I think in May, right? May 11th, 12th. Could you share a little bit about what you're planning to talk about tomorrow and other opportunities that we should be aware of? Either Brandon or Ted, whichever of you would like to lead, or both of you talk.
Ted's on. Ted, can you unmute to say a couple words, Ted?
Hey,
There he
hey,
is.
yes, I'm on. My apologies, my internet is a little bit, my bandwidth is low, but I'll keep the my voice is on. Yeah, so really, about tomorrow's event, it's called Trade Without Friction. We are connecting East African trade and logistic corridors. So what happened is that Moses Koyabe, who's a board member, who's an advisory board member of Mombasa chapter, also based in the US. So he's been engaging with Ndeye Babu, who's the CEO of Luma Africa, a logistic company based in Paris. And so the thing is that we are planning to bring together business leaders, logistics, professionals, trade facilitators, policymakers from Europe and East Africa for a very focused, practical conversation on the future of trade, logistics to and within the region. And why this is important is that there is an event called uh, 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 Africa Forward 2026, which is a uh, which is a summit built around Africa is no longer waiting; it is building. Heads of state, business leaders, innovators will come together to shape pretty much what's in practice, particularly across trade, investment, and partnership, right? Um, before the conversation in May, the question here is what is actually slowing trade between Europe and Kenya? You know, because you find that a lot of these, like a lot of the the, the engagements between the two continents are fragmented. So for this is pretty much to seek clarity. So Babu, she will be the keynote speaker and moderated by Moses Koyabe, and also the advisory board will be offering support during tomorrow's meeting. We've also reached out and invited people in the logistic sector, trade, banking, and yeah, we're excited about tomorrow because this will be our first event, and we are looking towards also learning in the process. What does it take to really build an event, especially to gain traction? Because for us, it's not just an event. We want to use this as a stepping stone towards the Africa Forward event, which is a very big event that will where the president of Kenya, Ruto, will be present. Also, the president of France, Macron, will be present in this event in May. So us, it's just creating that pathway to people who want to attend this meeting and initiating those conversations before the main events in May. Yeah, so that's pretty much from me. So yeah, so I'd like to invite all of you tomorrow to join us in this. We'll have very focused discussions and very practical of ways, because you remember our chamber is based in Mombasa, which is the key gateway of the logistic corridor of Eastern Central Africa. And for us, this is a huge thing because we're also inviting people who like to learn more about doing business with Kenya. What does it take, and what kind of challenges should we be able to look out for? Developing agency, cargo clearance, logistic costs, systems, and also digital integration. So there's really a lot to unpack during this event, and I can't wait to see some of you in this event. Thank you.
Fantastic. It's time. And to Jim's point, people are not only interested in living in different places in the world, but they're looking to do business everywhere in the world. And so thank you for putting that together. Does anybody have any questions or comments? One day we'll get Mohammed down there as well, and he'll I'm sure enjoy it. And I know, Mohammed, you do work in Africa, so yeah, we'll get you down there for sure. We do have a big event that Nima talked about. Nima, our Global Chamber Tanzania, talked about in October. She gave the dates. I don't remember when it was, but somewhere here on my because that was just yesterday. So we'll get that up and make sure that we have that communicated to everybody. But that'll be a big event, and we hope to have quite a number of Global Chamber members at this year's event. She did one in Tanzania last year that was well attended. It's about 400 people, and then this year we're looking for a bigger attendance. So, Jim, that was the preview. Does anybody else have any questions or comments or anything else they'd like to share? Is anybody at FIABC Anything else going on before our next meeting on the 6th?
Well, it's funny because I have a FIAPSI discussion at Top Agent Nation
Oh,
at 9 o'clock. So,
yeah, yeah,
Doug,
yeah.
we'll help
I
you
saw
within our group. And Scott with IREM, that's big in property asset management. So Scott and all, I think everyone here from different trade groups can all, I'll just tell you, can all tie into Global Chamber because of what Global Chamber provides. But I don't know, Scott, maybe you could add, I mean, with IREM, right, when we're talking about all this, it's not just property management, asset management, and others.
Uh, yeah, obviously bringing in all the groups. I mean, you know me, I like structure. I don't like meetings that have a lot of fluff and dark matter in between, I guess is how the way I could say it. So, for me, it's about structure. It's about content. It's about getting in and getting out. I mean, these days people just want the information and leave. So you know me. I mean, I think most of these meetings can be done in a concise way. But as far as the groups go, absolutely. I mean, we talk about IREM and all of these groups. I think it's especially IREM with its international reach. I mean, you take these organizations and where they're strongest. I mean, take IREM and Japan. I mean, that is so deep with number of CPMs and every other thing in the organization. And their group always comes over for the annual IREM conference. They always bring over, I don't even know, 20 people sometimes. They spend a lot of money and a lot of time. So getting those kind of groups in, and obviously it's real estate related in every way when you talk property asset management. So, yeah, I think, you got what, 48 weeks if you have a couple holiday, weeks that you don't meet during the year. But otherwise, like you said earlier, Doug, you got enough countries, you got enough organizations. I think to me, and again, I know we all do it differently. To me, this thing is laid out on a grid, at least 6 months, if not a year plan. And you line up everything that's logical. This organization, I mean, if you take IREM with Japan, there's a huge one that you could do at least 2 or 3 times a year just with Japan because obviously there's so much going on. So that's again, we all organize these things differently. I think you can get a ton of content in 30 minutes and be out. So that yeah, when you talk about the organizations, it's the overlay, right? It's the Venn diagram where is this organization strongest? How does that overlay with the real estate aspect of what this is? And then make it interesting and topical and then get out, right? I mean, most of us watch a lot of these via the YouTube channels anyway. So, people are not going to watch the replays if it's full of stuff they're not interested in. You're not going to keep their attention that way either, let alone live. So
it.
anyway, that's
It's
me
a
and
great.
how I would do it.
I love that, and I've thought about that, Jim, for other events too. Should we do this one in 30 minutes? Is that possible?
We
Well, now
could.
Jim's going to get, no, don't say that because Jim likes it for an hour. I'm not getting in the middle of this.
No, thank you, Scott. No, but I'd say if we organize it with standards and speakers up, a lot of times, as Scott knows, I can fill in 30 minutes or 2 hours or whatever I need because of just all the opportunities I have to speak. But if it's concise and organized, we could be in and out, recorded. But like I said, the big hook is with the referral because everyone would join an organization. They may not show up for the meeting and less time is better. But that's why marketing the specific speakers and having them promote through their social media can get a larger audience. And this is why I always know by the numbers virtually, it's an overload nowadays. And we all know this, unless we care about the organization or the people that are speaking. But once we have that, we start building the database and communicate with a newsletter and the referral. Referral will make you pay more money because you just want to get the extra business. So, there is a system and reason the way it works. And then there is the people that show up live events spending $3,000 to travel. That's where you really built a lot of opportunities and friendships. You just show up over and over like Ellen. Ellen's at CCIM right now in Philly, in Pittsburgh, in Philadelphia. They were there right before they were at SIOR in Palm Springs. Right, we all know. And the good thing is, if you've been around, you go there over and over. So for me, most of the trade organization, this is how Anita, like FIAPSI and everything, I've been around 20, 25 years. So you don't have to show up as much like Scott with IREM, right? You've been there so long, you've as president, it gives you an opportunity because they know you served for a long time and your name, but social media keeps you relevant. So, Doug, this is what we're trying to do is keep, whether we want to be concise in 30 minutes and in and out, or whether we want to do that and a little networking to let people drop off. There's no right or wrong. It's just whoever wants to show up like us here. We just want to show up and that's okay. But I understand where Scott's coming from because he doesn't like the meetings on meetings and tons of hour meetings.
Yeah. Either way, I do want to make it easy to come in and out, and have it feel more comfortable than it does now. So we'll work on that. I'll put the design together and be back with you. And Anita, if you don't mind, I'd love to breeze that by you as well, just to see what you think.
And Doug, it doesn't always have to be one or the other. I mean, the economic summits, the economic forecasts, that easily could be an hour. Like, so
Yeah.
if whatever, to whatever, and again, I'm not getting in the organization of this. I got enough, but however you all want to do it, when you talk about an economic forecast of Japan, and I'm just using that as the same example, that's easily an hour. I mean, that could be 2 hours as a major event. As an example, we talk about 198 countries, top 50. You start getting down past 20 and your audience gets a little more limited. I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, I think you can have speakers and absolutely everybody wants to know what the opportunities are. And like Jim said, the referral opportunities back and forth, and who to refer. But I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think you can have concise meetings with speakers, but then also have bigger events. I mean, like what Ted was talking about, you know, that to me is easily an hour, if not 2 hours, because there's so much to talk about. I mean, there's, I don't know anything about it. So I would sit through 2 hours that if it's content. I don't do well with fluff. I don't do well with a lot of chit chat, but that's me. I mean, I'm a different bird. So I'm not saying what works for me works for everybody.
Gotcha. Very good. Okay. Well, anybody else have anything else to share? Anything burning inside? Anything coming up we should be aware of?
But I love that, Doug. Take a break and then we go to the next. Anita, go ahead.
Yeah, just to remind everybody, tomorrow is my Export-Import Forum. Yuka is my interviewee tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about localization, which, is also pertains to real estate, quite honestly. If you build complexes, whatever you do, student housing, whatever it is, from one country to another, it all needs to be localized, even the physicality of something. Normally people think about products or services, but real estate needs to be localized. Now that I think about it, it's so different. I've lived in South America. I spent a lot of time in Spain, and things are different in both countries compared to the US or Canada.
For
That's
sure.
very true.
So
Doug,
look
that's
forward to
why
that. That's noon Pacific time. And she's the world's expert on localization. She's spectacular on understanding that. And she also knows AI, so she's a fascinating lady.
Doug,
Well,
there's so much
Jim,
to do with Global Chamber. I'm just telling you, it's just organizing the immense amount of people and resources you got.
any final comments that you would like to make?
No, I just want to get this launched so we can have it organized the way to really scale, make a difference, really help Global Chamber have a lot more resources we can use by the growth of this piece. And hopefully one day we see Global Chamber create a nonprofit to maybe build tiny homes, to create micro banking, right? These are all the things that I've seen other nonprofits of this type of business grow and develop. Because by building homes, micro banking, it changes communities. I had friends that did you know, from these Ivy League and stores. They always try to do something, and they created microbanks or they created schools. They did all this good stuff. So, Doug, that's the next audacious goal is make some good money, create a nonprofit for you and many others like missions, travel the world and just do a lot of good.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. The next, what's there is something coming up here in a moment. I'm sorry that I should have checked it. My computer is locked up, so I don't know what's going on here. But I think there's one that's starting. It's called. I can't even get to my calendar. So I know we have one coming up that's amazing. Mila, what do we have coming up? What's coming up right next?
We have a Globinar for getting ready to invest in the US and select USA preview starting in less than 15 minutes.
Actually, there you go. So Select USA is the 4th through the 6th in Maryland. Same place it's always been for quite a number of years. And so we have two gentlemen, one based in Europe and one based in the US, who will be speaking about what does it take to invest in the US. So the target market is foreign companies coming into the US, and there'll be a few thousand people. Jim, have you been to Select USA?
I've been
think you
to
mentioned
Select USA. I have
years
friends
ago.
from Korea or different other countries that were delegates and that represented and had booths. It's an amazing if you're doing international business, import exports. And one of our members, Scott, is Daniel Chang. Daniel's bringing a delegation
Oh,
from the Carolinas because of the amount of business from China that he brings. I mean, it's just a great event if you, and one day, who knows, Doug, besides our members being there, maybe we have a booth or, you know, we're presenting or doing something else. Global Chamber fits in so well.
we normally have a side event, and we've done that for the last number of years. This year we were waiting for, it looked like Vietnam was going to do a side event, but then something happened and they've decided they want to do another event with us in later in May. And then there's another group from Vietnam coming in, and we're doing something right before July 4th. So the end of June and early July on the East Coast. So I don't think it's going to come together for a side event this year, but I agree. It's an amazing opportunity, and we probably need to be more visible there too. So we'll work on that.
Do you have a calendar that you could post a link that all of this stuff would go to that people could just look at and then would have all the details instead of, I mean, it's great to talk about it, but you know what I'm saying?
There is a calendar. Yeah. So Mila, if you want to place that in the chat area, that would be great. It doesn't have all of actually, it does have the events, like it has Hanover Messe, which is this week there for our members, and it does have Select USA. It has Select LA next week. There are some other regional Select USA related events that I think the only one up on our calendar is Select LA because I'll be there. So yeah, there is one, and we do have a new system starting that Mila is coordinating on the events starting May 1st, and it'll be curious to see how that gets shown. Maybe not any different than it is today, but yeah, check that out and see what you think.
Perfect.
I think
Thanks,
we
everyone.
have I think we have 5 events. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 events on Thursday, as an example. And by the way, happy Earth Day, everybody.
Happy Earth Day.
Take care.
That's true. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, Mila.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.